If you haven't heard of Dragonbond before, it's the name of a whole high fantasy ecosystem created by Draco Studios that encompasses a board game where you fight against dragons, a war game where you fight against each other, a cooperative card game, tons of 3D printable miniatures that you can also buy printed for you, and some of which have won awards, and most relevantly, if you're watching my channel, a tabletop RPG based on the 5e rules that expands on the lore of the Dragonbond world and uses all of those miniatures that you might have employed in the board game or war game. In this video, I want to do two things. One, recap the RPG stuff that Draco Studios has put out so far for Dragonbond, and two, go over their latest RPG supplement that is live on Kickstarter at the time of this recording, a supplement called Elisa's Guide to Magic. I was not given an advance copy of this Kickstarter book in any form because it's really just not ready yet, but we'll go over the information that is available at this point in time. And as with all these Kickstarter previews, I'm going to give you my honest thoughts and concerns about the project. First, let's establish some context on how far the Dragonbond RPG has come in the past year or so. Great Worms of Draka. I made a video covering the 320-page Great Worms of Draka adventure supplement, which is a high-level series of adventures where you face off against 7 different dragons. Each dragon resides at the end of a 3 or 4 session adventure, and they each act as a sort of boss. This was a pretty remarkable game supplement because it sort of thrusts you into the action without first loading you with a ton of lore about the setting, and because it includes all kinds of special mechanics that make high-level dragon combat actually tactical and interesting, including individual body parts that can be disabled on the dragon as you fight it. Each of the adventures leading up to the big dragon fights are also well designed and fleshed out with encounter maps and a slew of smaller monsters. Endless Sagas. Dragonbond Endless Sagas is the official name of the Dragonbond RPG, and at its core encompasses 3 books, a rulebook, gazetteer, and bestiary. I did a short video last year where I previewed this content, but I only scratched at the surface, since these core books actually take up about 900 pages worth of content. At the time of this recording, those books have yet to be released to the public. Itza's Guide to Dragonbonding. Last year, I also touched on Itza's Guide to Dragonbonding in a video, but only in a preview capacity. That supplement covered the rules for how to bond your character to a dragon and get all kinds of cool power-ups for your party in the process. The book also contains aerial dragonback combat, new classes, half a dozen new broods on top of the 7 that are introduced in the Great Worms supplement, and a bunch of new monsters and spells. This book is in pre-order on BackerKit at the time of this recording, and I'll leave a link to that below. Okay, so that brings us to this latest Dragonbond Kickstarter, Elisa's Guide to Magic. I will run through the list of features one by one and show you whatever I've been able to find on each. First and foremost, an all-new magic system that allows players to create spells on the fly with different magical effects. I don't have any specifics on how this will work, but I'm extremely hopeful. I think the creators are too, because it's the first and foremost feature of the supplement that they list here. They did include several prescribed spells that will be in the book as well. Phi Shield is a 5th level spell that creates an arcane shield radius that can reduce or negate damage. Plant Walk, a 2nd level spell that grants climbing speed equal to a creature's walking speed, I guess by way of vines or roots or something. And finally, Scopophobia, a 4th level spell where you instill the fear of being watched into a creature and they have to pass a wisdom saving throw or become frightened for a turn. Next feature is a dynamic summoning system with unexpected outcomes. I'm not sure if this will be available to all classes or just certain ones that have a special summoner ability, such as the new summoner class. This is an important question though, because summoning creatures can obviously be huge in a fight, but if everyone in a party is summoning, I can imagine some turn economy issues where rounds take forever. 4 new classes with 13 subclasses and 6 new subclasses for traditional 5e classes. This is really at the heart of any good 5e supplement, the novel classes and subclasses, because that's where new player options often originate from. It's important enough that they reveal the 4 new classes and give at least a brief description of each. Vala Witch harnesses the wild nature of Vala to brew potent potions and twist malefic curses. Summoner, which calls forth powerful spirits and other fell creatures to aid you on and off the battlefield. Scion, fuel your already potent combat abilities with Vala magic. and Arcanologist. Craft terrifying and wondrous contraptions, constructs, and alchemical compounds with devastating effects. Not too much to go by there, except for the fact that they're mentioning summoning and crafting subsystems, which could be very interesting. The one sample subclass that they give us is this Shield Witness, which is a fighter archetype. These are elite warriors drawn from the population who each have to undertake a trial called the Striving. This entails going into any nearby desert and either capturing a criminal or shutting down a smuggling ring or killing some magical creature. At 3rd level, you can increase your affinity in Phi, one of the 3 kinds of magic in the setting, and increase your magic point pool maximum. You can gain advantage on all saving throws against Phi magics as well, or you can cast Hunter's Mark at level 3. At 7th level, you can cast Command at the 5th level of power, or you can detect lies, poisons, diseases, or curses with a target. At 10th level, you can choose a second fighting style or gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws. At 15th level, you can make 4d8 psychic damage attacks as a bonus action, and that's just purely because of your belief in law and order. It just manifests into a burst of energy, which I think is pretty hilarious. At 18th level, you can mark a creature to receive an extra 3d8 psychic damage from your melee weapon. The target also has a chance of having their speed cut in half, and all attacks and saves are thrown with disadvantage. A whole new dragon brood! Exclamation point. Yeah, I'm excited. The Great Worms of Draka supplement spelled out some really interesting and varied broods, and I think there are a lot of places that the authors could go with this. And since the whole Dragonbond product ecosystem is themed around and focused on dragons, having a fresh brood to throw into the mix is almost essential. 150 fantastical new spells. That's a lot of spells. We covered a few of them a minute ago, actually. I think between this many spells as well as the new system they're going to have where spells can be generated on the fly, the magicality of the setting will be more vibrant than ever. As long as you're playing a caster, because otherwise you'll probably be doing a lot of waiting while the casters hog all the spotlight. 40 plus terrifying magical creatures. I still have yet to see the dozens of magical creatures promised in one of the previous supplements, but I remain hopeful. The ones that are statted in the Great Worms book are wicked. Really fun abilities and some top-notch art. So if they keep that up, this will be a cool section of the book. New magic items from celebrity guests. Celebrity guests are great for marketing, I guess, but yeah, I just hope that their celebrity is derived in part from their imagination and game design abilities, because that's all that matters in this context, ultimately. We do get one sample page of items in the promo materials, actually. Beast Slayer Arrow, which delivers critical hits every time you hit an aberration, beast, dragon, or monstrosity, and the damage scales up depending on the size of the target. That's pretty awesome. Flick Tip Brew, where you get an extra attack or dash per turn for a minute, but then you're exhausted for an hour, so it's like coffee. Mask of Terror, where nearby targets have to make a DC 15 whiz save or be frightened for a minute. And Scorpicon Venom, which you can coat your weapons with to cause the poisoned condition on enemies who fail a DC 12 con check. A guide to creating potions, poisons, and unique magic items. I'm always a fan of crafting rules. They're a great avenue for side quests and meaningful downtime activities, and they're also a potential outlet for player creativity. I guess my big question here will be how fun they will make these rules. As much as I like realistic crafting rules, I'd hope that they don't make them too fiddly or complicated. And I'm also wondering if the crafting will be limited only to the new Vala Witch and Arcanologist classes. A host of antagonists to encounter. I assume this means enemy NPCs as opposed to monsters. Should be good if the NPCs in Great Worms are any indication. 2 new ancestries and 7 lineages. Actually, one of these has been included in the promo materials for the Kickstarter, the Orlar. As the story goes, orcs of the continent of Lerna once thrived as a peaceful civilization, but they were decimated and cursed by the human Altanesi Empire and split into 3 lineages. One of those lineages is the snow orcs known as Orlar, who live as Spartan warriors and who drink a magical concoction made of beastly ice, Orlar blood, and storm magic. This concoction gives you resistance to all kinds of damage and allows you to dodge death for 24 hours. You get 5 doses of this stuff at character creation. dragon bonded magic and expanded runic magic. I think the dragon bonded magic in particular here is pretty important to the setting, since bonding with a dragon is one of its marquee mechanics. I'm curious to see what kind of gameplay options there will be in the extended abilities here. So that's it in terms of listed features. If they can deliver on all these features, it would make Elisa's Guide to Magic a pretty indispensable supplement for the Dragonbond RPG. If you're watching this while the Kickstarter is live, you might want to also look into getting the deluxe cover version and exploring the different versions of the box that they're offering, as well as the cards. I don't really have enough info at the time of this recording to elaborate on those, but the mock-ups look pretty enticing. So in conclusion, when looking at the latest Kickstarter here, I'm just freshly reminded of how cool the Dragonbond setting and special rules are, especially the dragon battle mechanics, but I'm also reminded of how much I still haven't seen yet. I have no doubt that Draco Studios will deliver on all the products that they've successfully crowdfunded, but I, as a reviewer and a reader and a player of RPGs, really thrive on actual completed products. The Dragonbond RPG is like a lake full of potential awesomeness held up by a dam that is just about ready to burst. We'll see how cool it all really is soon enough. Links are down below. Thanks for watching. See ya.